Hello, Geminis, and welcome to this, your May 15th through May 31st reading and predictions. For those of you who are returning, you'll notice that my background has changed yet again. The reason being is that, as I mentioned in my most recent videos, my son and I were moving. Well, my son and I have made a decision to go full-on nomadic. Yep, we're going nomadic. So this month I am coming to you from Medicine Hat, Alberta. And the reason for my interesting background is that I am currently staying with my cousin, and he has generously donated his man cave to me because it's one of the relatively quiet places on the farm where I am able to get away from the action and come to you and bring you this video. For those of you who are new here, a very, very warm welcome to my channel. I work with a number of different tarot decks as well as oracle card decks, and I make 2 videos per month for each of the zodiac signs. My videos are intended to go out to those born under the sign of Gemini, as well as anybody else who has a significant amount of Gemini in their charts. I pull all of the cards ahead of time. Well, I pull them like on the video, but I don't read them as I'm pulling them. And then I leave them sitting face down. And I find that by leaving them sitting face down until I'm actually ready to read them, it allows for more of the psychic and intuition to come up in a more authentic way. Also, you'll notice that I do not edit my videos. What you see is what you get. You know, I just want to be authentic, and I want to bring authentic psychic and tarot readings to whoever needs to hear them and in any given moment. If this resonates with you, please, by all means, leave a comment or a like, and I will also leave information down below about how to get a hold of me personally if you'd like to book a private reading. Okay, Gemini. Let's take a look at where you are at now. Geminis, where are the Geminis at now as I'm doing this reading here in the middle of May with the intention of covering the time period between May 15th and May 31st. Is there anything else? Yep, we've got 3 cards that have come out for the Geminis, letting us know where they are at now. Okay, put them in the order in which they came out. The next cards we're going to look at is what you are focusing on. What are you focusing on? I do apologize for the light. I just realized it's a little bit wonky, but oh darn, that one's all the way down on the floor. All right. What else are the Geminis focusing on for the last half of May? Is there anything else that the Geminis are focusing on? No. All right. This is a little bit awkward. I'm just going to pause while I climb down and get your card. Okay, because I am in a man cave, I'm sitting up on a rather high bar stool. And so if the cards fly onto the floor, it's a little awkward to get down and get them while I'm still on camera. Okay, the next cards that we're going to pull for you, Gemini, are going to be cards of difficult influences. So I'm getting called over here. Difficult influences for the Geminis for the time frame last half of May 2023. Is there anything else? Nope. Okay. So we've got 2 cards that have come out here. The next cards that we're going to pull for you, Gemini, are going to be cards that just make sense. Now, the just make sense cards can have one of 2 meanings. One of the meanings of the just make sense card is either it begins to pull the rest of the reading together. So sometimes, because I deal with jumped cards, sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 cards can jump out. And as you're reading the cards, you're going, well, this doesn't make sense. How do I tie all of this together? And then the card that just makes sense ties the whole reading together. The other thing that the just makes sense card does for us is often it has the identical meaning to another card within your reading, thus giving you that double reinforcement that you need to sit up and pay attention to the energy or the intention behind that particular card. So where are we going for this makes sense? I'm getting called this way. I've got 2 decks over here. Actually, I've got 4 decks over here, but I'm being called to 2 of them. This makes sense. Oh, okay. It looks like I'm going to pull cards from 2 separate decks for you here, Gemini, because that's what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. There's a card that just makes sense. Another one. Is there anything else from this deck? I'm getting a no. And I'm getting that I'm to pull at least 1 card from the other deck over here. But, okay. Okay, that one. This makes sense for Gemini. You know what? I think I'm gonna, oops, yeah. I got just a pile of cards that came out. And that's not what I saw in my mind's eye. So what we'll do is we'll take this smaller pile and see if we have 1 card that comes loose in it. Because that's essentially what I saw was 1 card. One of these on top of the other deck. And it doesn't want to come out. Okay. Okay. That one was a no. No. That's your card. I got it. These ones I got a maybe, and the last one there I got a full on yes. Okay. The next card that we're going to pull for you, Gemini, is going to be the card of unexpected. Let's have a peek as to what is unexpected for you in the last half of May. Okay, we got lots of cards jumping. A few of them went back in, and a couple of them jumped out. Unexpected. Anything else for the Geminis that is unexpected? Okay. And the last cards that we're going to pull for you, Gemini, are going to be cards of the general overall outcome. Now, the general overall outcome cards are the cards that are intended to predict or project where you're going to be at come the end of May. So these cards are being pulled with sort of the longest time frame in mind. Let's see what energies and influences will be affecting you come the end of May. I don't know if that card's meant to come out or not. Let's see what it does with the rest of the deck here. Okay. General overall outcome. General overall outcome for the Geminis. End of May. Anything else? Okay, so yeah, we are going to pull that 1 card that kind of stuck out very unusually. As I was picking up the card, I hit the wrong button on the computer. Okay. What do we have for where you are at now? Ooh, interesting. Okay. So you have the Ace of Summer. The Ace of Summer is the equivalent to the Ace of Cups. This is all about new beginnings, and new beginnings in particular with regards to relationships. And typically this card, Gemini, refers to romantic relationships and new beginnings in romantic relationships specifically. Now, for some of you, you may be saying, hey, I'm already in a relationship and I'm quite happy with where I'm at. Perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. But what this card is saying is that there may be a shift or an adjustment coming in your relationship by way of an improvement, right? This is a card of positive new beginnings. For those of you who are single and seeking, this card can indicate that there is a new beginning coming for you and that your new romantic partner is on their way to you. And for those of you who are single and not seeking, this may indicate that a new friend, a very close friend or confidant, or possibly even a mentor is coming into your life at this time. This is great. It's all great news. Yeah. This card can also represent the possibility of more of a spiritual awakening, something new coming up for you. So just be aware of that. So if you are in a committed relationship and very happy with where your relationship is, if you're single and not seeking, then this card can also indicate a new beginning with regards to the way that you see the world. The next card that you have in kind of where you're at now here in the middle of May is the Three of Autumn, also known as the Three of Pentacles. And this is a card of exploring where you are at with regards to your job or your career and making sure that you're quite happy and satisfied with what you're doing. And if you're not, looking towards making some changes. And this is also a card of, if you have a job to do, make sure that you're doing it with your best effort. Don't be half-assing it. Okay. This is a card of, if you got something to do it right. Okay. And the final card that you have in where you're at now is another card from the summer, Oh God, I'm having trouble even thinking this morning. From the summer suit, also known as the cups in this particular deck. And so the King of Summer is indicating that this partner that is coming in for you with this Ace of Summer is someone who is very trustworthy and somebody who gives you that good, solid advice. Now, keep in mind that good, solid advice that you get may not be exactly what you want to hear. Okay, Geminis. So sometimes we go out and we ask for advice thinking that we're going to receive some kind of praise and some kind of, oh yeah, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes what we get is, not so sure you're doing the right thing. So just keep that in mind, that if somebody gives you advice or gives you a suggestion that kind of feels like you're putting on an itchy wool sweater, they're not doing it out of malice. They're doing it out of being warm-hearted and caring. Okay. And you can probably, if somebody gives you advice that feels more like a scratchy sweater, the advice that they're giving you is coming from their heart and it's well-intended. Okay. They're not saying it out of malice. And so, keep that in mind with this particular king coming up. Is this king represents a trusted friend, but a trusted friend will tell you the truth, even if the truth feels itchy and uncomfortable. Let's have a look at what you're focusing on. Okay, your focus right now, Gemini, is probably going to be upon your health and well-being. I am picking up that for many of you, this may be your mental well-being more so than your physical body well-being. However, both of those go hand in hand. When our physical bodies feel good, psychologically and emotionally, we also feel better. This is a card of take care of your needs. Part of taking care of your needs, then the reason that this card is represented by winter and the wolf is twofold. First of all, in the winter, we have a tendency to want to withdraw from some of our social engagements. We have this desire to go within to stay warm and comfy and cozy. And part of that is going deeper within ourselves and becoming more deeply aware of who we are and who we want to put out there into the world. It's interesting that you had this Ace of Summer, also known as the Ace of Cups, which for some of you, Geminis, definitely represents a spiritual awakening. Part of a spiritual awakening is making sure that you're taking care of your own needs. The other part of this wolf card that you are focusing on is as you're going through changes and shifts, whether those changes and shifts are happening in your relationship, as indicated by this Ace of Summer, or whether those changes and shifts are happening as a result of a spiritual awakening, as indicated by the Ace of Summer. The bottom line is that our community, our pack, wolf pack, changes and adjusts according to how we are and what we are putting out into the world. So if, for example, your friends have always been down to earth, okay. I'm being told to say something that would be very controversial, and I'm trying to avoid coming right out and saying it in a way that's going to rub people the wrong way. Yeah, this King of Summer is definitely coming up because it's going to feel like an itchy sweater to some people. But if your community and your pack has been predominantly down to earth, very religious oriented, and I'm not specifying any religion in particular here, and very much into the traditional ways of doing things, both religiously and as far as educating our children and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden you have this wild spiritual awakening or this wild spiritual insight coming in, this download that comes in. Okay. And all of a sudden you start talking to people about seeing orbs in pictures and being, really starting to listen to your intuition or pay attention to small visions or communicating with imaginary friends. We criticize children for having imaginary friends, Gemini, and yet imaginary friends are actually something that is real. And when you wake up to that realization, potentially with this Ace of Summer coming in, all of a sudden, this very traditional community or this very traditional pack that you've had around you is going to begin to change and shift because they're not going to see things the same way that you do. Okay. And I'm not saying that this is 100% going to happen to each and every one of you, Geminis. This is a general reading, so take what resonates with you. But I am sensing that there is a huge shift in your perception of the world. And as well, you've got two cards here that also indicate shifts in relationships, new people coming into your life. And that is being reinforced by this card here with the wolf on it. Because here's the thing. A lone wolf does not survive particularly long in the wild by itself. A wolf requires its pack. It needs to be surrounded by its pack. And so this is one of the things you're focusing on right now, Gemini. You are focusing upon finding your new pack, finding new people with whom your new realizations and new relationships resonate. Okay. This could even be, this just coming up for me. If, for example, you are single and seeking and you find someone new in the coming weeks, and some of your community doesn't resonate with that new person because they're different, okay, chances are your pack is going to be changing and adjusting. And when your pack changes and adjusts, you need to take care of your needs. You need to withdraw a little bit for a period of time, spend some more time really, really discovering who you are and what's important to you, Gemini. Okay, let's have a look at your difficult influences. Okay, difficult influences, right. So both of these cards have similar meanings. You have the impasse and you have watching the clouds. Watching the clouds is all about taking that time to step back. Remember what I said with this card? This card is about stepping back. But this is coming up in your difficult influences. So what is that telling me? It's telling me that you're bumping up against this. You are finding it difficult to make the time that you need in order to be able to meditate, go within, and rediscover who you are as a whole person, as well as what's really important to you, especially with relationships changing and shifting right now. Okay. The other card that you have is that you are at an impasse. Reflect and redirect your energy. That is also reflected in this card. That is your card of focus, right? There is a huge change and shift coming for you right now, Gemini, with regards to the relationships in your life, both romantic relationships as well as friendships and confidants. This is what the cards are showing me. And as that happens, you are going to begin to, based on this card being in your difficult influences, the card of impasse, there's going to be a period of time where you're going to, kind of look back at your old friends and go, come on, come with me. And they're going to be going, mm-mm. And that's going to leave you feeling empty. And that is one of the reasons why you need to find a new pack. Go within, do this wintertime sort of cocooning thing, and make the time to watch the clouds go by so that you have that opportunity to really get in touch with who you are within your own heart. Cards that just make sense at this time. Okay, so you've got the King of Swords coming up. Interesting that you have another king appearing here. You had the King of Cups over here. Now you have the King of Swords, but the King of Swords is coming up reversed. And what this card is telling me, remember, these are the cards that just make sense. And so these cards reinforce the meaning of some of the other things. And like I said, I do not look at these cards until I actually flip them over. So I had no idea what was in this pile. But what this card is telling me is that, yes, there is exactly what I just described, that as you are waking up and having this spiritual awakening, as you are meeting people who are also within that spiritual awakening community, as you are changing and shifting your relationships, perhaps going into a relationship with somebody who might be less traditional than your family, what's going to happen is there's going to be a fickleness that comes into some of your relationships. Some of your relationships are going to begin to become very superficial, because as you change and shift, people don't know who you are. That's one of the reasons why it's going to be really important for you to watch some clouds go within and really get clear on who you are, because during this change and this shift, Gemini, what can happen is you can appear fickle to others, and therefore you are no longer the trusted confidant in their life. So that is what the King of Swords in reverse is representing for you here. You also have the Moon in reverse coming up, and this makes sense. What does this card indicate in reverse? It indicates that your cycles are out of whack, that what you thought going forward was going to be a smooth ride all of a sudden has become bumpy, and there's darkness and there's light and there's flips and there's flops and there's cycles, and all of a sudden you just feel a little bit mixed up. That's not surprising with what the cards are showing us here with this change and shift of both a spiritual awakening and a change and a shift in your current relationships. It's not surprising that you have the Moon reversed in This Makes Sense. The other card that you have in This Makes Sense is such a beautiful card. It is the Lotus and the Lotus flower, and this is a card of resurrection. What is this telling me? It's telling me that don't forget, everything is a cycle. Oh yeah. What does the Moon represent? No matter whether the Moon comes up reversed or upright, the Moon represents everything is a cycle. The Moon goes through her cycles throughout the month. She goes from the new moon into the full moon. The Moon is also represented by a female. Females go through cycles. Females have huge swings in the cycles of their lives, much more so than males. And so it's quite fascinating that you ended up with the resurrection card in your This Makes Sense. What this card is reminding you of is that as you go through this period of changing and shifting, spiritual awakening, as well as changing and shifting in your relationships, Gemini, guess what? It's a cycle. It's not going to last forever. So as uncomfortable as it feels, as much as it feels like you're wearing an itchy sweater for the last half of May, this card is reminding you of resurrection and reminding you that in a couple of weeks, all of this is going to be in the past and you're going to be flying forward and going, woohoo, life is beautiful, right? Just like the lotus flower. All right, Gemini, let's have a look at your unexpected. Oh my goodness, you have another king. This is the third king that you have in your reading. Okay, so there's a lot of masculine energy coming up here. Now, in the tarot, we do not differentiate between male and female. We do differentiate between feminine energies and masculine energies, and there are differences between the masculine and feminine energies. You have a ton of masculine coming in here. Masculine tends to be a little bit more in your face. Okay, so in here we have the King of Autumn, also known as the King of Pentacles, and you have the Hermit. You want to talk about triple reinforcement here? Actually, I think you have quadruple reinforcement here. Yeah. You have quadruple reinforcement here of this Hermit card, okay? You have the Wolf, which indicates winter, which indicates going into a time of some solitude. You're being told to watch the clouds, sit back, relax, take some time for yourself. You have the Moon in reverse, which is an indication that you also need to go into that cycle of withdrawal. And now you have the Hermit. Gemini, for the last half of May, please kindly ensure that you're taking care of your needs. And part of taking care of your needs is making sure that you're making time for yourself to go within and really, really on a deep level, discover what you want. Not what the King of Summer is telling you you want. Not what a partner is telling you what you want. Not what your traditional pack has been telling you. Okay. This is about what you want. Who are you, Gemini? With all of these changes and shifts in relationships, as well as spiritual awakenings, you can lose yourself. And this card is your unexpected influence. It is telling you with so much emphasis, make sure that you are making time to go within. Okay. This King of Autumn coming up with the Hermit. What does the King of Autumn do? This king is assertive, man. This king is almost really forceful when saying anything. This is a king that things are going your way, in particular when it comes to money and finances, but just in general in your life, especially with it coming out right next to the Hermit, but it's also a very assertive king. And as an assertive king next to the Hermit, this is reinforcement. You've got to do this work, the work of the Hermit, the going within, the meditation, the taking a break from society. Okay. Outcome. All right. General overall outcome. You have the Miser, which is the Four of Pentacles, Four of Rainbows, and you have the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is about clinging to the past. What is this telling me, Gemini? This is telling me that as you go through this change in this shift, May 15th through May 31st, by the time you get to May 31st, you're going to be at that point where you may be looking at the past. And because this change in this shift can feel a little bit uncomfortable, you may be clinging to some aspects of the past, wanting to bring forward your community who is no longer in alignment with your beliefs and your way of seeing the world. And yet there's that, je ne sais quoi, there's that longing on your part to reminisce. That's really what this card is about, is that wanting to reminisce, wanting to feel the way things used to feel. Now, this card, the resurrection card and the lotus card here, is indicating that once we begin the process of moving forward in our own growth, we actually can't go back. Sure, we can go back and visit our friends and our family who are still seeing things through the lens of the past. Sure, we can spend an afternoon or a weekend with them. But ultimately, Gemini, once you begin this process of seeing the world through different eyes, you can definitely revisit the past, but it's temporary. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. Okay. This miser card coming up for you at the end of the month is a card of making sure that what's happening in your life is balanced. Now, typically, the miser card is a card of making sure that your budget is balanced, which of course is important, Gemini. By all means, make sure that your budget is balanced. But this is also a card of making sure that you are not holding on to the past too tightly, making sure that you are tempering your relationships with those who are still seeing through the eyes of the past lens with your newfound vision for the future and of the future. It's about finding that balance. Because if you hold on to the past too tightly, if you cling to the past like this, you'll notice, Gemini, that both of these cards are an expression of something that appears to be rather uncomfortable, right? This is being caught up in the mind. This is an elderly lady who is wearing her diamonds, jewels, and fur from the days gone by, but she looks kind of miserable, okay? When we cling to the past, it's not a very good picture. So instead, Gemini, by all means, reminisce, revisit the past for an evening or a weekend, but recognize that there is a growth that is happening for you. This Ace of Summer, there is a growth and a change and a shift in your current relationships that are going to allow for you to really expand your horizons and resurrect yourself into this beautiful flower. And with that, I'm going to leave that off. I hope that you'll join me again next month. Can you believe we're going into June already? Wow, where is 2023 going? Okay, join me next month, please, and we'll see you in June.